Hello, everyone. I'm Major Garrett in Washington. Tonight on America Decides, Ukraine war milestone. 3 years ago today, despite what you might have heard from President Trump, Russia invaded Ukraine. We'll have some of the frightful numbers about that conflict in a moment. Today, at the White House, French President Emmanuel Macron met with President Trump, elbowing his way into these conversations after briefly European powers, whom Macron is sort of representing today, were excluded from peace talk deals.
We're working on deals right now, transactions right now, and in particular, the big one is to get the war stopped, whether it's ceasefire or direct to an agreement.
Also tonight, justify your job. Elon Musk's social media ultimatum to federal workers. Reply to an email with 5 things you accomplished last week, and if you don't, you're out of a job, although we have new reporting that suggests that's not so hard and fast. The deadline, for whatever it might mean, is tonight at midnight. House back in session. Lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill after a week-long recess. This after the Senate last week passed a budget plan. Now the House begins to work on their own spending and tax proposal. Fin Gómez and Scott McFarlane and Nicole Killian, what a show of force it is. All join me now, but I want to start here at the table with Fin Gómez. Control room, let's do these full screens we have on the Ukraine war. With your indulgence, Finn, it's been 3 years. Let's talk about some of the damage in Ukraine after Russia invaded. So, when the war began 3 years ago, Ukraine had a population of 41 million. 10.6 million Ukrainians have been displaced. Bring up the full screen, if you would, control room. 3.7 million moved within Ukraine. 6.9 million left the country entirely. There you go. There's the graphic, finally. It's good to see it there. Moving on, how many people have died in this war? It's hard to know, Finn. Estimates are very, very difficult to cobble together, but the best estimate, 152,295. Civilian deaths, 12,654. About the military deaths. Russia, we estimate, the global powers estimate 95,000 war dead. All the Ukrainians will admit to in public is 46,000. Again, those are probably undercounts. And lastly, the contributions from the United States and European Union countries, the UK and elsewhere. 183 billion from the United States, from EU and other countries, 145 billion. It has been costly in many, many respects. And today at the White House, a lot of things were sort of danced around in public, and the French president pressing the European side for the president to consider important dimensions if a peace deal is going to be achieved.
That's right, Major. There were a lot of long, friendly handshakes, of course, between these two leaders. This is, of course, America's longest ally, France is, and that was the long alliance was underscored. However, you could see the major schism here between these two. Right on one side, you had the president who was essentially demanding much more of Ukraine than Russia, if you will, really emphasizing on these rare mineral rights as part of the deal.
That the United States wants access to.
Hundreds of billions of dollars, right, that are part of it, and saying that he's nearing a deal there. However, as you said, Macron, who's really representing all these European nations, is essentially saying, hold on, like, stop a second, because we need security guarantees here. And Ukraine, he said, quote, I said a deal must not mean a surrender of Ukraine. Therefore, you're seeing this contrast and this major policy shift on foreign policy with the Trump administration.
And the president, that is to say President Trump, talked about a ceasefire. Emmanuel Macron said, wait a minute, a ceasefire could be violated. What we need is a security agreement.
Right.
With ways to guarantee it, with troops, peacekeeping troops on the ground, recognition of Ukrainian sovereignty, a lot of the things the Russians don't want to put on the table.
No, absolutely not. And, and we did see, like, over the weekend, some indications by Zelensky, of course, that he may step down if it means that Ukraine can join NATO, something, of course, that the Russians do not want. So it's still, it may not be, it doesn't seem to be as close as the Trump administration is indicating here. It seems there's a lot of allowances that the Russians would have to essentially accept before they get to that deal. So you can see again that there is a major shift here between some of the United States' longest allies here, and that contrast so emphasized, I believe, in a vote at the United Nations today, where the United States sided with Russia and Iran and about 14 other Moscow-friendly nations against a resolution
condemning Russia's invasion.
Condemning Russia's invasion.
Exactly.
That's right.
Very quickly, Finn, we have some new reporting on what this mandate or ultimatum from Elon Musk may or may not mean for federal workers.
Well, there's been a lot of chaos and confusion since this started over the weekend, Major. But we have, CBS News has confirmed a report first broken by the Washington Post that essentially the Trump administration is walking it back a little bit, saying that there was a call between OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, and department leaders saying essentially that it's up to the agency heads to decide how to implement this Musk rule, if you will, and that it also doesn't necessarily mean that anyone needs to resign afterwards.
Or if you don't reply, you have effectively resigned yourself.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean what it said on social media.
There's a host of legal issues with that as well.
That's putting it mildly, a host of legal issues. Fin Gómez, thanks so much.